Hey guys, I'm Karis. I've been threatening you for a long time to give you a video about feet, and here it is. Are your feet important? Fuck yeah, they are. And we're talking about lifting right now, so I'm not saying go and run a marathon barefoot because I don't run, but also I don't know anything about that. So you should talk to someone who knows something about barefoot running specifically to get advice on that, not just someone who runs recreationally who thinks they know everything. So in lifting, it's generally pretty fucking safe to be barefoot because there's no impact, right? You're just staying still and you're literally like planting your feet into the ground. So it's probably the best place to strengthen your feet. A lot of people say they're worried about dropping something on their foot. If you drop something on your foot with a shoe on, do you really think you're gonna be any better off? And also just don't drop shit on your feet it's a pretty obvious solution there. Unless you motherfuckers are working out in steel-toed boots or something. So why do you need stronger feet? They're literally the thing that connect you to the ground, right? The only thing, all day long. They are encased in shoes all day and therefore are what I call pussified. If you wore gloves all the time, and the way that some of you people wear running shoes all the time, that's like wearing oven mitts all the time. And try to go about your day, like typing, chopping, cooking, whatever, writing. Imagine how weird and awkward that would be for you, right? Like you wouldn't know how much pressure to apply. The same thing happens with your feet. But remember that when you don't use muscle or stimulate muscle, it atrophies. So a lot of times when we go barefoot and it hurts, it's because they are very weak and honestly rely heavily on the support of shoes just to function. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really like that. So what if you don't have shoes? You're pretty much as good as in a wheelchair. That's not like, if you have feet, you need to learn how to fucking use them. Not only are they weak, but they're also very, very tight, which is the same thing. But back in my lunge video, those of you who watched that, I talked about the lunge. And one of the biggest issues people have with the lunge is that they are unable to get on their big toe, to flex their big toe without pain. So they like shoes because they don't actually go completely onto their big toe, but they just kind of like balance on the toe like this, right? They don't actually do that full flexion onto it. And if they do, it's kind of like rolling, right? So if you have balance issues, look no further than your weak ass feet. Is that a reason to not work on your feet? No, you need to have good balance. You guys might not be worried about dying anytime soon now, but when you're older, one of the main reasons that Americans die in their older age is they fall, can't get up, break a hip, and the quality of their life diminishes significantly because they can no longer care for themselves. And often are dead within 8 months. I don't really want to go out like that if I make it that long. If you're comfortable with that, that's cool. But I also want to be the person who can lift my own groceries and shit. We digress. So if that is you, right, where you can't get on the toe into a lunge and put your weight on it and keep your balance, then that would be the first thing to work on. I used to wear Chucks when I lift weights, and they're all well and good, except they're very narrow and the toe still curves up slightly. So if you have an issue of rocking forward in your squat or being unable to load your hips in a deadlift, that's probably why, because you're not actually pushing into your big toe. And also your feet aren't supposed to be that narrow. I know because I was a Chuck whore for a while. And then I started developing bunion pain in, I don't know, I'm holding this, it's coming later. And then I started developing bunion pain in my right side. And I don't know if you guys know this, but bunion surgery is fucked up. First of all, they shave off part of your bone. And then you can't be on your feet for 8 weeks. And if you think that trauma to your body, first of all, but then being unable to walk or care for yourself for 8 weeks isn't gonna fuck up your entire body, you're high, because it's absolutely gonna have a long detrimental effect on the way your entire chain moves. Those of you who have injured a part of your body, like lower compartment, where that's been the case, will probably know what I'm talking about. So how I avoided that pain and surgery is I started working on being able to spread my toes apart. And I've broken my little toes a bunch because I'm clumsy. So I thought that it's because I broke them, I can't spread them apart. That was bullshit. It's because they're weak. And I was wearing these like teeny tiny tight shoes. I also wore a lot of heels back in the day. So all I did was working to spread my toes apart. And then from there, lifting one toe at a time. Not quite there yet, but I can lift my big toe independent of my little ones and my little ones independent of my big one. And the result has been I have no bunion pain whatsoever. And also my hips feel better. So when I hurt my hip deadlifting like a couple years ago, my hip kind of rolled, right? I was deadlifting in chucks and my hip kind of rolled in a little bit. And that was because, not my hip, because my foot wasn't stable on the ground. I actually have hypermobility in this hip. Long story short, I was not stable on the ground. So when I pushed off the ground, my body shifted and my hip is what took the brunt of that, right? So when you have hip pain, low back pain, knee pain, shin splints, any kind of calf pain or something, look no further than your weak ass feet. A lot of you I know have like plantar fasciitis and other issues like that. When I was a runner, I had every one of those things, anything you can imagine in your lower compartment. So I know, but the solution that doctors give you is here, put this thing in your shoe so that you have something even more expensive and ridiculous to rely on instead of just getting your feet stronger. Getting your feet stronger should be the #1 solution, but it's not. It's let's pussify your feet a little bit more. If it makes you nervous to be barefoot, I get it, but I've worked with a lot of people with a lot of these issues, and all we do is they come in, they take their shoes off, we train barefoot, and then we work on things like your balance, right? Another reason why old people fall on their ass and die. Or maybe you just fall on your ass anyway. So your feet also have something in them that I call kind of like your sixth sense. They're called proprioceptors. And they basically, they're like these sensory organs in your skin that tell you where you are in space. So if you balance on one foot and then close your eyes and look like you're on a boat or something, that's a very good sign that your proprioceptive senses are really deadened, which they probably are. And it means that you rely heavily on your vision to tell you where you are in space. So unless you're walking around like this or doing your squats and deadlifts like looking at your feet, you're going to be really, again, desensitized to what's happening in your surroundings. You're not getting enough information or feedback to tell you, you know, where your feet are they in the right place? Do you feel stable if you're not in a shoe that allows you to feel that kind of contact with the ground? So all of those things can help you not only feel better in your feet, but help you feel better in your entire chain and absolutely make you a stronger lifter, like hands down. Now, of course, in powerlifting meets, and you have to wear shoes. You can't be barefoot. And also, as you know, Olympic lifters wear Olympic shoes. That's different. That's a competitive nature, right? That's a different sport. But if their feet within those shoes aren't strong and in their other movements, they're probably not going to be as strong as they could be. So when I compete in powerlifting, I wear a shoe called Vivo Barefoot. I will tag all this stuff at the bottom. They are a totally flat sole, minimalist. They have a wide toe box, like your foot is actually supposed to look wide. Chicks, if you come at me and be like, I don't want a wide foot, then fucking enjoy having your early death or whatever the fuck is gonna happen because you don't want to have a wide foot. I want to have a stable pelvis, and which means a nice ass too, PS. But Vivo has the wider toe box, that really went off there, which allows your feet to spread a lot more naturally. It's still not as good as being barefoot because you don't have that contact with the ground, right? But it's a hell of a lot better than trying to squat or deadlift on a squishy ass running shoe, which is the worst. Chucks will do in a pinch, but again, I wore only Chucks and I had that bunion pain. I wear them now for fashion, but I know, that's stupid too. But I'm barefoot enough that it doesn't really affect me anymore because that's not my shoe of choice. If you're not used to going barefoot, you have to work up to it. My suggestion is to start with your warm-up. So you know, glute bridges, all this shit that you should be doing anyway, kettlebell swings, and then just kind of like slowly work up your feet's tolerance basically to not having that support that they've relied on their whole life, right? Their entire existence since they've been walking pretty much. And then eventually you can get to a completely flat sole. If you have active pain, plantar fasciitis or something like that, you know, start more slowly, but here's where those balls come in. So if you have a lacrosse ball, golf ball, tennis ball, these are called yoga tune-up therapy balls. I love this company. They have really nice balls. But this is like, it's a little squishy and it's kind of big, a little bigger than a lacrosse ball. So it's really good for getting into certain spots without being overly aggressive, which is the issue that most people have when they're trying to like jam lacrosse balls into their spine and stuff. Like, that's a good idea. So not only can you roll the bottom of your foot with this, and you want to get the sides too, you can keep it in the netting so that you have balls on both sides. You can't say balls without laughing, right? But then the other thing that you can do is you can set your foot on the ball, like I'm on the arch, and I'm trying to close my foot around the ball, like kind of like a bird on a perch. Ooh, that hurts. And then I try to open wide, close, and open wide. Just things like that to work on the dexterity, because you'll be amazed. Not only can people not get on the big toe, if I ask them to lie on their stomach, they have a really hard time not pigeon toeing or turning their foot in. That's how tight and weak their feet are. And if you're comfortable with that, attaching you to the ground, especially if you're trying to deadlift heavy, good luck. Can you do it with shoes on and still be successful? Sure. I know lots of really strong people who think the barefoot thing is bullshit, but I can tell you firsthand from having all of those injuries in my lower compartment like 10 years ago versus now, where I'm stronger and healthier than I've ever been, it makes a big difference. And to me, I want to do everything in my power to keep my body moving as well and strongly as possible without needing a bunch of accessories like shoes and inserts and all this shit. And you should really be doing the same. So before you sign off on a doctor sawing away some bone on your foot, maybe you should try to fix a totally preventable issue, and actually just apply a little bit of work on the part of your body that I know is not fun to work at all. But you can just be a weirdo like me and develop a foot fetish. I mean, I don't want to suck on them or anything, but you know, like, I do want healthy feet and a healthy back. Okay, so that's my foot spiel. A lot of you ask why I train barefoot. There it is. If you think it's bullshit, that's fine. I don't care. But if you are having a lot of those issues that I've described, you need to work on strengthening your feet. Really, you need to work on strengthening your feet. We're gonna do another segment on this, on how you use your feet to help you in movements like the push-up or the bench press or even the deadlift, because we're not using our feet enough, right, to push off of the ground. We're gonna cover that another time. For now, grab your balls, work your feet out, get stronger, and stop jumping to surgery and pills and inserts and stuff when you have pain, and learn to be an advocate for your own body and health. My name's Karis. I'll talk to you guys later.